So I wanted to make a video about morality and more importantly, should humans have moral obligation? So I would say, from my perspective, humans have a greater cognitive capacity and ability to conceptualize the world around them, and more importantly, morality and the state of suffering itself. So, suffering is a hard one to summarize. It's more of a self-evident experience, right? And then we perceive there needs to be a subject to perceive an object. In this case of suffering, I see someone suffering external to me, and I can then relate that suffering back to myself and think when I've previously experienced that suffering. Now, another factor that comes into play is how do we go about equating and evaluating the depth of suffering and why it ought to be a moral imperative to reduce unnecessary suffering. So a great analogy for this, I think, comes from Arthur Schopenhauer, and it goes something along the lines of if we're to compare the pleasure that the lion gains from devouring the flesh of a live gazelle, does the pleasure of the lion outweigh the suffering of the gazelle? I think it's pretty evident what the answer to that is. No, it doesn't. So if it doesn't outweigh the suffering, then we sort of established that suffering in the majority of cases is worse than pleasure and satisfaction, and happiness is good, right? On the spectrum, or whatever that is. So in that case, humans with their faculty of establishing morality as a concept, a human construct, and also evaluating the difference between right and wrong, which is something that other animals lack to the same degree, definitely. I would say that is where the moral imperative lies, because I think dualism is a good concept to use to also defend this position, because that dualism obviously suggests that we're all kind of part of the same one, the same sort of, in my view at least. I don't want to be butchering the concept of dualism, because I'm actually not very well read on philosophy as a whole. I just find philosophy really fascinating, and I ruminate on it a lot. So I believe that dualism is about seeing the expression of one will, or one being, one entity. Consciousness is a fundamental collective part of reality, or it's in one, basically. So if it's in one, then we need a subject to establish an object, to perceive an object. Then where's the separation between self and other? Where's the fixed sense of self if we're forever changing? If there's not a fixed sense of self, then I am inherently kind of as much the suffering gazelle or the hungry lion as I am me. I mean, I'm a subject of experience. So in that sense, that's where you could place the self, but it's just going to be an arbitrary distinction, as many things are. In this case, I don't see a good justification or reason as to why we ought not to respect and prioritize the reduction of the well-being and suffering of conscious sentient beings. They all have an expansive ability to perceive the world around them, seemingly. There's no proof to suggest otherwise. And I don't have a moral incentive or obligation, to increase the pleasure of the greedy and the people that are very ego-driven, the people that have much more money than they could spend in 100 lifetimes. But I ought to have a moral obligation for the starving child in front of me, or the ways in which I can help. Then I'm not going from a really like hardcore utilitarian point of view where I need to reduce all suffering to the point where I basically kill myself. I don't think that, I mean, that's just increasing my own suffering, right? So it's more just a case of creating less distinction, recognizing the interconnectedness of reality, and beings on the planet, and then making, I think compassion should be the highest virtue. I truly do. And this was a very word salady kind of video, but at the same time, I think it's good to talk about these kind of things, and it's more so just for me, and it's kind of like a document kind of journal type thing, that I'm just posting it to the internet. And I would love to hear, like, if anyone comes across this and you manage to actually get to the end of this video, then I'd love to see like your opinions or your philosophical takes on this. Yeah, I think that that would probably be it. So thanks for watching the video, and peace.